Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen Originals Podcast with me, Paul Machin, Chris Page, XT Hoare and Dan Clubb, all in the building for this one. Liverpool, guys, ladies and gents at home, are 5 games unbeaten. 5! Sensational stuff, absolutely sensational. We will be discussing Liverpool's latest, not defeat, but win. In a short while. We beat Brighton by 2-0 and all as well. In part 2, we're going to be looking ahead to the festive fixtures and having a little chat about what Liverpool do in the absence of Mo Salah at AFCON, etc, etc. I'm sure there will be some more in-depth Mo Salah chat. Maybe put a little bow on it before he does jet off. But yeah, anyway, before that, a couple of things. First and foremost, we have got a signed Liverpool shirt to give away. It is this absolute beauty. It is a replica Champions League final shirt signed by Vladdy Smicer.
Heavy.
It's heavy, that lad.
He did score in that game, for those who don't know.
Cheers. The best thing he did in that game was get out of the way of Gerrard. Is it Gerrard's shot?
I'd argue it was score the goal and the penalty.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Steve.
Yeah.
And he didn't get out. Someone got out of his shot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
God, it's been a long time since I watched that. Okay, we're going to draw it. We've got the wheel of names right here. Let's spin it and see which of our legend tier subscribers is going to be taking this shirt home.
That's
today.
A good prize.
It's a very good prize.
Very good prize.
TN Red, yes.
That's America, isn't it? That's getting shit. That's America.
Good job, I saw the frame.
Honestly, the post office these days, like when you're trying to send something to America, Dan, you might have to delegate.
I went last week to post something to Austria, right? And the woman went, "No." I went, "What do you mean?" And she went, "No, we can't do that." And I was like, "You can't post a parcel to Austria." And she's like, "Well, we can't do it through Royal Mail." So I sort of stood there and went, "We can do it through Parcel Force." I was like, "Cool, like, great, thank you." And then she went, "Oh, it's international." And I was like, "Yeah." To Austria, and she went, "Oh, that's Parcel Force International." Then I was like, "Cool."
You were getting there. What are we doing? What are we even doing?
If I can't post it in the post office, where am I going?
Maybe all these post office masters deserve what they're coming on.
Honestly, I trying to send something to America now. It's like, do you want to check? Have you pay? Someone pay you for this? Like, no, it's just a gift. Are you sure? Because there's tariffs. No, I'm telling you the truth. Yeah. So well done, mate. I made it for you.
Yeah, no, you've got to say where the origin of manufacture is from things that you've posted over there as well if you've made it, which is wild. Anyway, congratulations, Steve.
Turns out TN's just his initials. He's from like SCEM.
If he's got a purple bin, then we'll have to hear. Like, no one's got off yourself.
I'll pop around later. Get the kettle on.
Yeah, superb. Yeah, we're going to be giving away stuff, and we have been giving away stuff so far. We've got 9 more days of giveaways, 10 more days, whatever. Leading up to a Kenny Dalglish and Bruce Grobbelaar signed Rome 84 shirt as well. So if you haven't signed up as a Legend tier subscriber on Redmen Plus yet, not only do you get amazing content, now that Liverpool in particular have stopped being shite, you're going to get in the prize draws every single day leading up to that on Crimbo Day as well. Right. Okay. Yes, one little break from us, and then we're going to dive into Liverpool 2, Brighton 0. A little word from the podcast sponsors.
Hey everyone, would you like 10 free beers for Christmas? The festive season is upon us, and our good friends from Beer 52 are celebrating by offering you an exclusive selection of 10 never before tasted beers. Go to beer52.com/Redmen. Do it right now and just cover the $4.95 postage, and you can get your beers right now. This month's Winter Wonderland case features brand new beers from brewing cities synonymous with European winter markets. So you can cozy up this December with an eclectic selection of beers from countries like Germany, Poland, and Austria. And if you don't like dark beer, just choose the light case, and don't forget you'll get a couple of tasty snacks too. You can even learn all about the breweries and the European cities featured with the award-winning Ferment magazine. Even after all of that, you're unsatisfied, you can cancel or pause at any time. So that's www.beer52.com/Redmen to claim your free case of 10 exclusive beers now. That's beer52.com patreon.com/Redmen. Happy Christmas.
Yes, right. Let's crack on with the football then, as Liverpool have decided to do just that on the pitch in the last few weeks. So, yeah, as mentioned, 5 games unbeaten, which is, we were all laughing when I was saying the other week, that's like, we was like 2 unbeaten, and then we were 3 unbeaten here. But not just that, we've actually genuinely won 2 games of football in a week, Chris, which makes a massive difference. Well, you think it makes a massive difference, everyone's mood, but there's a real low energy going around at the moment. We're going to see if we can pick that up. 2 very different, yet actually kind of in some ways similar kind of wins for Liverpool, really.
Yeah, I think, listen, first of all, a couple of clean sheets is probably the most important thing, and I think the thing that Slot was looking for most in those couple of games, wasn't it? So to see us be a little bit more solid, not concede goals, obviously a good thing. That gives you that platform, that foundation to go on and win the game. I think the best thing about the weekend for me is just the early goal. I think it's the first time we've scored inside 9 minutes under Slot in the league. Really? Yeah, I'm sure I saw that stat from Michael Reed, which is crazy if that's the case. And it's the earliest goal we've scored since Naby Keita in 2019 when he did that one in 15 seconds or something. I think it was Huddersfield, yeah. So I mean, it was a crazy early goal, and I think I'll be honest, I was doing the production for the watching. I was still trying to sync the clock up at that point, you know what I mean? And I think we were on 2 minutes 30 on our watch along clock because I completely messed it up, and then the goal was going in, and I'm like, well, now I'm screwed, aren't I? You know what I mean? So yeah, it was just a good game to watch. I'm not getting carried away with the performance because I do think Brighton had some very good chances and probably the pick of the bunch as well. And I think when we've, over the last couple of months, maybe our luck's turned a little touch because those those shots just went in against us any time up until 3 weeks ago.
Well, there's sort of 2 elements to this. That absolutely that things have stopped just completely going in and whatever. But also, we said this against Leeds, I think, it didn't really make sense at the time, but we did actually have a little bit of fortune our way. It just obviously also went back the other way, but at least that was starting to balance out. But one of the points I thought about over the weekend, Dan, was you're actually seeing Alisson make saves in football matches again, and that is a good telling factor that the look's changed a bit. It's not changed to the spoon and stuff left, right and centre, but actually the goalie's got a chance to be the goalie. And I was thinking about how we've had some seasons where we've not been great. When was the last time you've got Alisson's carrying us through here? And that's normally when we're poor, is that we're then relying on Alisson to save us. Whereas the amount of times he hasn't got a sniff, and not because of his ability, just because of the nature of some of the freak goals that have gone in.
Yeah, I think that has been sort of counting against us. I think sort of the bounce of the ball sometimes and where it's fell has just meant that it's fell in the path of insert opposition player name here, and he just had a free shot or whatever, which took a deflection and gone in. The Murillo goal springs to mind in terms of that, where Alisson literally has 0 chance. But you're right, the last time I can remember sort of really heavily relying on him was probably PSG away, to be honest, when he was just a man possessed, wasn't he? Let's have it right. But no, it was nice to see him be busy in a good way, actually, and sort of show his influence on our performance once again, because obviously he makes that big save quite early on in the first half, obviously post 1-0, where he gets out quickly and sort of closes down the angle and the opportunity. And yeah, it was...
That's classic Alisson as well.
It is, massive. That's what he's absolute best in the world, no doubt about that. But I'm with you in terms of this, to me, felt like a clean sheet in name only, because I think if Brighton had the shooting boots with him, we don't get away scot-free, because still, whilst it was more solid, the ease with which they played through a couple of times was still somewhat alarming. But still, I'm taking the positive. I'd have scoffed at this unbeaten run a month and a half ago, but given the manner of how things have gone, then I'll take it, however it comes.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I mean, look, we've had plenty of negatives to focus on, so we might as well sort of steer towards the positive stay, and that is what it is. Liverpool have picked. This was a week where, given the teams we have dropped points against, you can't look at a week that's got Inter Milan away and Brighton at home, who have given us some good games in recent years, and think, well, this is an absolute chew-in 6 points. In fact, you sounded a bit mad if you'd expected that. But what you saw, and I think you really saw it in the way Liverpool conducted themselves in the first half of this game against Brighton, was there was a real on the same pageness about how they played. There was a real efficiency in what they would do, and it was like, I'll run out, but then I'll get back in, or if you run out, you can see someone else go, right, that means I've got to do this. They actually all looked really well coached at times, and actually looked really well engaged with what they were being asked to do.
Yeah, I think sometimes as well, the luck thing, I I don't know if it's technically true, like, you know, you earn your own look a little bit. Sometimes you get what you deserve either way. I just feel that happens, you know, against like Forest, for example, a couple of things they go against us, but also we were crap, and you kind of thinking, well, we deserve that, you know what I mean? And I know Arne Slot gets loads of stick for the XG and you know, conceding low percentage chances, but there's a reason that exists, is because, again, generally, things regress towards the mean, and sometimes if you've had a load of bad luck at some point, you might get a few things go your way. What I would say is that I think they missed one big sitter, which was the guy at the back post who should have already been sent off. But then maybe it's a bit of luck for him being on the pitch. But other than that, like, yeah, they always kick because they're a very good team. Yeah. Like, they've always caused us issues. It wasn't like we were you know, getting...
We weren't shooting ourselves in the foot.
We were getting peppered, and that as well. Like, there was no errors from us. Usually when teams have scored against us, recently it's been a bit of really bad luck, or someone's just done something absolutely stupid. Usually Canate, but other times someone else. And there was none of that. So I think you go back to it, you're in a little bit of good fortune at times. And the two things I took from it, first of all, the manager's being very pragmatic in terms of, I don't know if it's led on by injuries and the squad he's got available, but we haven't played the same formation or the same system probably like 4 or 5 games in a row. They've always been different tweaks depending on the opposition. And then secondly, the lads are clearly fighting for it. Yeah. Like they haven't threw the towel in. I questioned a PSV that after 2-1, I was like, these have gone. And like, if they get rid of the manager today, everyone will be going, well, he lost them, because they didn't give a shit. Those third and fourth goals, it was diabolical, really. I haven't felt that for a few weeks now, which is a positive, because especially with the whole Salah thing, he could have lost.
We were sat here a week ago doing the Leeds results and saying, actually, the fact that they get themselves back ahead in that one, they still shoot themselves in the foot, but they showed a little bit of something, even in a disappointing game of football. And I agree with Steve on that, because I think they've managed to. That's definitely grown. There's clearly buy-in, I think, across what they're doing, and even we'll come on to Salah, but even him coming onto the pitch, you know, was just a similar thing as well. Let's, before we delve into that side of things, though, I want to talk about Hugo Ekitike, and how much I love him.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, and let's look. Anyone's got any thoughts on Hugo? We'll go around and just kind of all profess our love for him. But you talked about the early goal. That's. Yeah, what I've noticed about Ekitike is I think he's a confidence player, but I actually also think he generates his own confidence. So he's not like he's like an eternal font of that kind of thing. Like, so even when he's not confident, you know, he just has to think about it and he'll become confident again.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, the goal I can't get away from. The first touch is magnificent, and so like such an unusual first touch, because he's not trying to bring the ball down. He's almost putting it into a better place in the air for him to volley, and like the speed of thought to be able to think that and you know, economise his motion in such a way that he can almost, without breaking stride, hit the follow up. And listen, you know, I think the first time I watched it, I thought, can the keeper do anything then? But it happened so quickly. I think the ball was just past him before he knew about it. But for me, when he wins that ball, I think it's the second half on the left-hand side, and drives central and has a shot from the edge of the penalty area, and he speeds past 2 players. I'm like, oh wow, this is I've not seen someone run that fast with the ball at their feet since maybe Fernando Torres and his pomp type of thing. Like, the speed in which he just ate up the grass was incredible. And you know, he's a little bit unlucky with the shot. I think it might have bobbled just before he hit it and stuff, but he not only generates his own confidence, Paul, he gets himself into the game. He's not willing to sit on the periphery and just accept that I'll have to be ready when it's my chance. He's there when you need him to be, which is exactly what you don't want. You don't want a centre forward to drift out but not be there when you need him to be. Yeah. But also, he'll just work dead hard to try and get the football. I mean, that little 1-2 with Florian Wirtz in the first half, that's right on the edge of our penalty area. He ends up driving with the ball for 50 yards. You know, it's unlucky the pass inside. I think it was to Alexis McAllister and stuff. He just wants to be involved, and the more he's involved, the more confidence he gets, the more dangerous he gets. And like, look at right now, he's got to be one of the first names on the team sheets, because we just play better with him.
I was talking over the weekend today about when we did the watch along the other week, and you were saying when Isak scored, that there's the Isak that we know and love, and it's like, not sure how true that as a statement is. And this is the one with Go Show. I've got no idea what Isak is. I don't want to use this as a platform to bash Isak. It's not really about that. This is actually me singing the praises of Hugo Ekitike. I get Ekitike. I actually think he's more of an enigma. He's more of an unusual kind of guy and footballer. He's a bit weird, but I like it. He's got a little bit of the Bobby Firmino's about him in that regard. He's clearly got a lot of charisma. But I actually think the way he plays it is what Chris is saying there. I think he will benefit from us playing to him like a number 9. But he has 9.5 and 10 like qualities. So I think in terms of understanding him, the rest of the team, I think he makes more sense. I think we're going to have to evolve more towards Isak, whereas Ekit feels like a nice sort of hybrid between what we've grown accustomed to over the last 9 years and maybe what the future looks like.
I think Isak, if we were boss, would be boss in that he'll just put it in the back of the net. If he at his best, he probably scores at Isak with a few that Ekit misses. Yeah. He is just a bit raw, but we're not that good. So we need someone who can offer a bit more than just putting it back in the back of the net. You know what I mean? And what I love about him, I go back to it, he is so raw, and that's exciting because he can get so much better. And he's already really good. His dribbles was fantastic. We haven't seen too much of that recently, but the thing that has surprised and delighted me in equal measure is just how composed he is. Yeah. Like, he always knows it. Even when he gets it wrong, he knows exactly what he's trying to do. The lovely side foot that when Verts chip into it, and he almost finds that's really composed. Like, he just doesn't quite get the execution right. But Chris,
it's a great footy, that.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's been some goal, and like I say, the one that forced him, he chips himself up and he volleys it. His head's really good. He hasn't been great in the air, but he does well there. He's got this cool composure about him, which is mad because, like I say, he is quite eccentric. And that is why he's a little bit like Firmino, isn't he? Because Firmino was always a bit crazy, but then he could slow it down and be really calm on it. So when we signed him, if you'd have said to me which of these signings is going to have the biggest impact, he'd have probably been 5th on my list. Of all of them, because the rest of them were either Premier League proven or you'd spent you'd spent big money on him, but he was the one where you're thinking, he might not even get in the team. He's in the team, and he's one of the best players. That's a question for another day, how he plays them all and what he's going to do. For now, it isn't even a question. He plays. It might be next year before we get Isak now. I know it's mad to say that, but he might just need the pre-season, and because I don't know if Sweden they're probably not good enough to qualify for the World Cup. He might just need to get his head down and get fit and go again next year. But for now,
we don't need to worry about that.
Exactly.
If Ekit can stay fit and play like that,
there's no worries.
Then let him in his place.
Though, because we've toed and froed a little bit. Almost trying desperately to get Isak up to speed. It feels like
spin the plates. We've got one spin and just keep it spinning.
The only issue on that is it's 2 or 3 games in a row now when he's gone off with cramp at
the end.
So he's clearly feeling the step up in the intensity. It is something spoke about that we don't. Verts felt it. Frimpong got injured feeling
Did
it.
You see
and he's in the same boat. His cramp is a thing. So we can't play him every minute. So you are going to need more from Alexander Isak.
Did you see the Oxlade-Chamberlain interview? He did the Ben Foster's podcast. I just saw a clip floating around Instagram. And he was talking about his first 3 months at Liverpool and how he said he was wrecked and he was ready to give it all up because every training session was so intense. His hamstrings felt like they were falling off constantly.
Did that change through the rest of the season?
Well, to be fair, what he said was he got through that initial period and he was like, I was ready and I felt like I could accomplish anything. And that's the point where, if you remember that first season he absolutely exploded from that. And you look at that with Ekit, don't you, Dan, and saying he's had that issue all season. He doesn't really look like he's got a 90 minutes in him. But that might open the door for Isak, which is crazy to say that the British transfer record is going to be a 15 to 20 minutes at the end of a match kind of player. But tough shit. If Mo Salah's getting bombed out the side and Verts is getting moved around, you get moved around, then take your chances when they come.
It's the way it's got to be, because there's no two questions about it. Like, the way it is right now, he is the informed hot hand. And if it's meritocracy, then he is the guy to go with. Because as someone said, not sure who it was now, he's one of the first names on the team sheet because he's just got that composure. He's got the X factor. He's got the desire. He's hungry for work. Like, all the things that Isak seemingly right now is lacking or trying desperately to recapture, Hugo Ekit is doing them. Like, he just looks every bit a Liverpool player. And what I like most about the weekend, you've alluded to a couple of missed chances. The volley one would have been out of this world for what it's worth. Like, it seems to have a really good relationship and understanding with Florian Wirtz in terms of where they are on the football pitch right now, which I like a hell of a lot. Mm-hmm. That's something to build upon and sort of continue to watch grow. But actually, when he scores his second, he was really quite pissed off. And I think that's because he's missed all the chances that had gone before. To your point about knowing he can do better and what he'd done wrong previously, he feels like he could have put that game to bed half an hour ago. And that I love that. I love that in my football players. Even post-match, he comes out and said, wasn't me day for hat-trick, that'll come. But that's playing on his mind, and that strive, that desire to do better and be better. Yeah, that's a bit of me, that.
Because he knew. You could see the look in Salah's face. Because Salah comes straight over to him, doesn't he? After they're all celebrating. And like Salah basically starts like trying to like chat to him. Basically, pass that better, mate. pass better in the build-up, because that's the one when he cups in from the left. And I described it in post-match articles like makes him like a Pro Evo 6 player, where he just accelerates and turns while he's accelerating, like Megs. I don't know if it's dunk or something and then he should like
play around
the man to Salah or whatever. So he does make a bit of a mistake of it, but I like the fact that he takes stuff early.
Yes.
He doesn't take too many touches. I think when you're in bad form, forwards all want that extra touch just to be sure. And it's exciting.
Yeah.
And I know it's, what I'm about to say, he reminds me of a load of players. I can see a little bit of early Darwin Núñez in there, that like wild exuberance of just have a shot, mate. Go for it. Get the crowd into what you're doing. But I see there's bits of like Berbatov and how he plays, the way if you play the ball with his back to goal, his first instinct is how can I play a one-touch pass off to someone, and it doesn't really matter where they are. I'll find an angle. I'll find a body part to flick this off. That run from the left was very Thierry Henry. There's Fernando Torres heaping pressure on him at the same time. But I was concerned that he was a bit too raw, and I think he is, but. If he's sticking the ball in the back of the net, Chris, then who's asked?
It doesn't matter. And I think the one thing that I like about him, and I don't want to bring Isak into this too much, but I feel right now that Isak needs the team to be performing for him to perform. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure it's the same with Ekit. I think he can just go and perform regardless of what's happening around him. And I think it's made me sort of think a little bit about why maybe Isak isn't performing in the way. And, I can only go back to his time at Newcastle, where I think the people around him were doing a lot of the running for him. You think about Murphy, you think about Anthony Gordon and all that type of stuff. And I think about Mo Salah. And I think, Mo's not going to do the running for Alexander Isak and stuff. But Ekitike's fine doing a lot of the running himself. He's young enough, he's exuberant enough, as you guys have already said, that he'll just go and find the football and go and make things happen. And that sort of interplay with his teammates is absolutely outstanding, and it's getting better. Like the game against Brighton for me was the first time I've thought we've counter-attacked pretty well here. All right, the final ball wasn't quite there and stuff like that, but that's been off all season long.
We've been shit at counter-attacking for about 5 or 6 years at this point. Like, we haven't been a good counter-attack in ages, but at least we're getting to the dance. We might trip over our feet when we get onto the actual fucking dancing part, but
we're in the ballroom.
Yeah, we're in the ballroom.
He's a lot quicker than I thought.
So fast.
He is, because I've been moaning the lack of pace in our team, and that's why we haven't counter-attacked, because we can't. Joe Gomez had one the other day and he had to turn around because he just couldn't run. Which is mad for him because he is quite quick, but obviously...
It was a dad's race on Saturday, second half, anyway.
Robbo,
Van Dijk and Salah. Fucking hell. It's like sports day.
Salah,
they're all in the work.
Salah dropped the egg.
Yeah, until that happened,
So we've got a bit of pace. He's got that about him, which is obviously... We don't really get too many attempts to counter because teams don't really try and give us that opportunity, because teams just know sit back and go along, and Brighton didn't, which did help us a bit. But it's always hugely exciting when you sign a striker or a forward player and they just hit the ground running. We're used to it for so long, and you don't have to do it. You can find your way around it. But the best ones tend to have done that. Salah did it straight away, Mane did it straight away, Firmino took a while, and then as soon as you went up front, he was in there straight away, and Torres and Suarez. The good ones tend to do, and Ekitike's definitely done it. Like, he is, we'll see with Isak, and hopefully that again, that's just a fitness thing and he can turn it around. But with him, he has to keep playing. He'll get better for playing. He was at his best when he was playing every week. When he had that little spell in and out the team, again, he got himself sent off like an idiot. And then he comes in and out the team, and then Isak comes back and we're trying to work it in. That's when he kind of dipped a little bit. He just looks like he's a lad who can go on a roll and go on a run. The calendar, which we're going to speak about in part 2, will help him. It isn't that mad. But for Christmas, 1 game a week, I'm made up work-wise, life-wise, it's great. One game a week for 3 or 4 weeks, it'll do him the world of good as well. That he can play against Spurs, and then he can play the next game, Wolves, and then he can play again against Leeds. Like, he's got that there for him. And yeah, like I say, two braces in consecutive Premier League games, long may continue, mate. And the more these lads get to figure out what he wants and what he's trying to do, he can only get better. And that is exciting because he's already very good. but there are some obvious places where he can take that step again, and he should be able to do that.
Just to pay tribute to his mentality as well in amongst all of this, and this stems back to when he was signing, because obviously, big money signing, from a different league, comes in, and that in of itself brings its own pressure. But then he isn't even the biggest money number 9 signing that we made that summer, so that is a different kind of again, pressure and sort of expectation. And what am I then? Am I the 9 or am I not? And then he kind of gets a run, gets going, as you say, hits the ground running, he's exceptional for a while, and we're all singing his praises. And then we don't have a look at him for a bit because we want to get this other lad up to speed. Mentally, he must have been thinking, he must have been all over the place, actually. So to get through all of that, and obviously suffered a dip in form that Liverpool at large have suffered, and then come back in the way that he's done in the past fortnight, I think there's a lot to that. I think that's quite exceptional, actually.
And look, what we'll never know is, was he only signed because Diogo Jota passed away? You know what I mean? Would Liverpool have gone into the market for him if they still had Jota to rely on? So he's got a little bit of that, and that goes back.
I think it was the other lad that was only signed because of that.
We don't know.
Isak. Possibly, but to the point, is he Diaz's replacement? You know what I mean? As in to say, you're the second choice centre forward or third choice centre forward, and the second choice left winger, etc., etc. Was he bought? Did we have to buy him as a squad player because of circumstance, and now he's worked his way in?
It's been quite turbulent, I think, however it's been framed. But the fact he's managed to sort of navigate his way through it and still continue to show a semblance of form and be sort of the chosen one out of them, I think is quite something. Actually,
10 goals all comps as well.
All you can be afforded is the opportunity. You have to take the opportunity, because if he hadn't played well for 3 games, Alexander Isak will be playing, because he's cost more money. He's more proven in this league, and we'd have all went, let's just persevere. This lad isn't quite ready. He's raw. He can be a fill-in player, but actually, Ekit got the chance from day one, score goals, continued to score goals, and now he's continued to press. And you touched on it before, and I think it is vitally important on the vert stuff. Yeah. There is definitely a connection between those two. They're on the same wavelength. You can tell that they get it. They're always they're always making runs for each other, making available for each other. The little link-ups is definitely there. So if he's going to be the one who gets the best out of Vert, or Vert can get the best out of him, then it's definitely something to build on. You don't throw this away at any point.
If you're going to be raw, it does help being 6'3" and lightning quick and having a great first touch. He's got the kind of things that'll get you by. He could have a great Premier League career, and I remember saying this in the summer, he had Freddie Canute vibes, and John Carew had a bit of this as well. But he's got all the attributes required to be a good Premier League player. It'd just be interesting to see whether he can be that, and can he also be a 30-goal a season forward in addition. And
you'd have to say yeah, wouldn't you?
So far, yeah, definitely. Poor old Joe Gomez, Dan. He'd had a really good start to the game. He's been in the side. I think the highest praise of Gomez in the last few weeks has been, he's a break glass solution to a problem that I don't think Liverpool were hoping to have happen to them. But he's made himself more than that, and that's part of the disappointment for him. And you're hoping that it's not a long injury. Hopefully, it's just one of those where you feel a bit of something, and you can catch it early. Now it's Joe Gomez, so historically that's never really been the case for him. But yeah, he's not just in there because Liverpool are at bare bones at this point. He actually looks a really good, solid footballer in that, and Bradley will remain, I think, the ideal solution to what we're looking for in that position. But yeah, I want Gomez back because I think there's minutes that we're going to need Joe Gomez to be playing in that position.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah. And he's been more than in there on merit. He's been brilliant in the past few weeks. And it's just the only saving grace is, you mentioned Conor Bradley, obviously he was only suspended at the weekend. They're expecting Frimpong back. But that's not to say that I'm not gutted that we don't have the facility to call upon Joe Gomez, and just for Joe Gomez on a personal level as well, because it is all too a familiar tale. When the camera panned to him, sat down, you just knew, didn't you, straight away, you knew this is the end of his afternoon and potentially the end of his festive period from a playing perspective, and who knows how long after that. So yeah, gutted because he started the game really promisingly. He's clearly, to Steve's point earlier on about wanting just to become more solid and more difficult to beat, he's been a big part as to why that's been possible, I think, in the past few weeks as well. So yeah, big shame because it's just he can't catch a break, can he? No. He feels like he's worked his way back into the squad, into Arne Slot's thinking. So that wasn't even a thing at one point. Bang, down he goes again. I know Slot reference after game, told you so a little bit. This is why I've not been playing him. But it is, again, it's just par for the course with Joe, just the way it's always been.
It's infuriating, isn't it? Because you sit there and you're thinking, during the game, I was certainly like this, why are they playing midweek? But then you get a win in midweek, So that's why you play him midweek, isn't it? You know, it's one of those things where you're more solid, you go out there, you get a result against Inter Milan, and you knew that he was going to have to play this game anyway before you go into that. And I think over the last sort of 48 hours, I've thought to myself, well, we got the win in Inter Milan, so we made the right decision. Puts us in a really strong position to get into that top 8. So the manager's well within his rights to be able to do that. It's just unfortunate that this happens again to Joe. What I love about Joe, though, the right back, is he lulls you into this false sense of security where everyone who plays against him thinks he's Jamie Carragher at right back. But he's
so much
not.
more.
He's not that at all. He just makes you think that he is. And then all of us, like that run down the wing where he comes and literally goes around the goal line. Well, not the goal line, but you know
a bit of run.
the line.
Just kick it in, Joe.
Come on, it's there for you, Joe. It's there for you. What do you call that line when it's not on the goal? The dead ball line. Just all the way around. Okay, yeah. Sounds okay. So he's running along there, and you're like, God, pull the ball back for Ekit, lads. And he does, and he's just brilliant at it. And I mean, he gets the assist as well, doesn't he, for Ekit? I love Szoboszlai in the lead up to that goal, just basically clearing one man out and blocking so that Joe Gomez can come in and get the big header on the ball and stuff. And he's a really, really good footballer who surprised me when he was inverted, who surprised me every time he takes it down the wing.
His delivery is
fucking brilliant.
Forest to Wales there,
It's just that his body's fucking shite and lets him down all the time, isn't it?
We are a bit cursed at right back though. We can't seem to keep any of them fit.
This is the thing that never gets spoken about sometimes when you talk about injury crises in one area. It just puts more pressure on him. The reason, by the way, he plays in midweek is because Conor Bradley wasn't fit to start. The manager said, I brought him on against Leeds. I couldn't then start him against Milan. He's not ready yet. So then he has to play Gomez. And then Bradley's suspended, so he has to play Gomez again. You could see this coming a mile off. One of those two was always going to go again, and you could put your money on which one it was going to be.
I love that.
Actually, I'm not sure I could have.
No, he could easily be the other one. Yeah,
there's a moment there though when he goes down and Calvin Ramsey gets ready to get up. My moment is coming. Mo, you're bringing the right back off and you're bringing Mo Salah. I've been here, mate. I've not kicked up a fuss.
He was sprinting down the line, Calvin Ramsey.
If the camera pans to Szoboszlai, he's like,
I know.
Here we go again.
Yeah, he goes, Dom, yeah, I know. Show me your tactics boards. I know.
Let the missus put the pins out. I will. I begrudgingly
I was going.
Actually, genuinely, when you see the shot of Gomez, Dom runs behind him to the touchline.
You know,
as Gomez is down, he runs over to talk to Slot as he's down, like in the middle. Because I was chuckling about it.
Not a different plan at all here.
I think what he was doing is he was going over and pointing out Ramsey.
Yeah. You know he plays right back. That Scottish lad there, funny accent. Plays right back.
Not Robbo, but you can do that by the way if you really want. You can, but it's. I don't think you're allowed to play a left-footed full-back, right-back, are you? You can play a right-footed
winger in that.
Full-back, left-back.
Okay.
But you're not allowed to play. They're the rules. It's a football rule.
It's prejudice, that is.
I was thinking
prejudice that I'm dead against it. I fucking love playing right-back. I happened to be a couple of times because, again, everyone's conditioned. The middle of the pitch is yours when you're a left-footed right-back. Fantastic. Like, no one expects the shoulder drop.
But it's the same with centre-backs.
Yeah.
You can play a right-footed centre-back on the left, but you cannot. It's against the rules to play a left-footed centre-back on the right.
I wonder,
why is that?
I think it's a scarcity thing. It's a bit like how people more roles have to go to drag artists in certain theatre productions, and back in the day because they couldn't have female performers. So it's like there's not enough left-footed people. So the right-footed, all right, Sad, I'll have to learn this role. Then will I pass the wig? I'll play.
I do wonder if this hastens the transfer market in January now. We have actually only got 2 centre-backs. Yeah. Like he was the third one. And the idea was we were going to get Bradley and Frimpong back. And then he was going to be the centre. He isn't now. And I hope I'm wrong, but history suggests with Joe Gomez hamstring, you're looking at months rather than weeks. That just tends to. I hope I'm wrong, but
you're told weeks, and then
last time it was
May.
Weeks. Yeah.
Has he ever missed one game?
No.
No.
Last time
it was one game a lot. Over and over.
Then another one. Yeah.
So Liverpool now, as we stand, we've got 2 centre halves and one right back, and that right back's coming back from injury, and the other one's about to come back from his second hamstring injury, and you got to be very careful with him as well. So
if only you were allowed to play left backs at right back.
Yeah, if only.
Let's not do that either. I don't think that's the solution. The solution is you have to go and buy someone, and whether it's the Gahey thing or they can revisit something else or whatever, but they are desperately short, and this is what happens. These lads will continue to have to play, and then they will get injured. And it's a self-fulfilling thing, so you've got to be very careful. Even like Endo is meant to be a centre-half option, he's injured. So, again, I'll go back to it. We're quite lucky in a way that...
We've got lucky.
I've got lucky, yeah, maybe he's the one. They are a little bit lucky in the fact that the fixtures aren't too mental, but I think Edwards and Hughes et al. Need to be on the phone now. Like, you want like Van Dijk in front of a Christmas tree vibes. Like, you want someone in, Gakpo-esque, January 1st, that Leeds game, someone's getting unveiled at Anfield.
Well, the thing is...
Because we are still short. And,
desperately short.
And also, someone's going to leave in the summer. Where Ibu isn't guaranteed yet, or Gomez. So if Ibu signs, you let Joe go, and if Ibu doesn't sign, then you keep them. So you're going to need them anyway. Yeah. They clearly thought they needed one, so I think they have to go and get this done ASAP.
My dad and I were watching the match last night, just in age after dinner, and he said they need to go. He said they need to go and buy 2 in January. I was like, they're not going to buy 2 centre halves in January. It's just not going to happen.
They'll buy a winger, left winger.
We'll buy wingers, of course we will. But the thing is, and the case in point was when we needed centre halves, and we end up getting Kabak and Davies. But of course, what we are kind of fortunate.
Kabak and who?
Yeah, I know. That this isn't that window, and there are a number of options. I mean, obviously, what we don't know is what's been going on behind the scenes, and how close Gahey is still to Liverpool in that regard. Lots of other clubs are interested. It's mad to think that Liverpool would spend 30 to 35 million pounds on someone that they can get for free 5 months, 6 months.
But if it gets in the Champions League,
exactly.
It's worth it.
I also don't think they will get him for free in the summer because they can't talk to him. Whereas Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and everyone can from January the 1st, can't they?
Of course they can.
I think they have to sign him. I said this in the summer, as soon as it happened. I said they're going to have to sign him in January if they want him. Otherwise, I don't think he's happening.
All footballers legitimately talk in legal, rounded legal situations and stuff. They've done the talking to him. They literally agreed to fucking deal with him. All they need is someone who's not directly connected to go, just send a thumb up or thumb down fucking emoji. Like
the issue is you've got other teams will be sniffing around, but they have to go and do something because the squad's just too thin, and unfortunately we've got 3 right back options, and every single one of them has got a dodgy hamstring, and it's far from ideal. So we're talking about this little unbeaten run, and the idea is to salvage the season, make sure you're playing Champions League the year after, and hope to go again. Like this does have the potential to really derail that, because we are desperately short at the back, and whether it's someone who's a centre half who can play right back, that's the ideal. But even if it is just someone who can do one or the other, I think they've got to go and do something. And where your dad's talking, it might be that you do one of each. But then you're never really going to have 3 right backs.
You're never
going to have 3 right backs in your squad, so it is a bit up in the air.
And the thing that's worth remembering as well, they bought Leone, and I know he's out till next year, and you need players for now, but they still bought Leone, and that there needs to be a consideration that he is amongst our clutch of players. It's just that we've written him off out of our minds because we didn't really see him play enough, and we know he's not going to be back till next season. But they still own him. They will still want him, presumably, to be part of their collection of centre half. So they need one. They definitely need to finish the business they do in January, and this should have exacerbated
that. And the only other thing on that ball as well is that if this new formation means that we have to play all our midfielders.
Yeah.
Ideally, you don't want to show one as a right back because then your plan change. Your plan's changed again, hasn't it? If the idea is to get all 5 of them on the pitch in midfield or whatever, if one's doing a job at right back, then you
and he's got a problem himself right now.
Well, it's worth having a chat about Curtis Jones, who I think's been brilliant this week, absolutely brilliant. And he's the one is that actually he is somehow amidst all of this. With Szoboszlai's been our player of the season, and we've been trying to get McAllister up to form, and Gravenberch. He's having a really odd season, I think, so far. I don't think he's been bad, but I just don't think he's been to the level. And Curtis has all of a sudden come out. He's absolutely integral to how we build out from the back. He presses brilliantly. He's always a willing recipient of the football. He holds on to when we need to get up the pitch, etc., etc. I mean, because he's just become mega. And just as a sort of, to bring the conversation on, that would be devastating if he has to go back to right back for any spell again.
Absolutely. I mean, I was sitting here at the start of the season saying that Liverpool's build-up's the problem for me. I thought it was terrible, and I think now with Curtis Jones dropping in between the centre halves and stuff and getting us playing, and then you put Gravenberch in a position where he's better on the half turn and stuff, you play into everybody's niche skill sets, I think, in the way that we build up right now, and Curtis is huge in that because he's so good at keeping possession, and
even in his own box.
I know he frustrates people sometimes, but he really never loses the frigging football, does he? And that's what we've needed more than anything. And he can be brave in possession, and he can go and press, and he's got the legs to be able to get forwards and get back and stuff. And he feels right now like he always does with me, is after a few games of him playing from the start, he becomes integral to the side. The problem is his body breaks down when he gets into these situations. And then he's out for 2 or 3 weeks, and then he has to fight to get into the side again. Yeah. And then he gets himself in exactly the same position where he's one of your most important players, and then the cycle repeats. We just need to hope that this is it now, and he can play consistently, because he's good enough to play consistently for Liverpool, and he's changed my mind. I remember sitting here 2 years ago thinking, he might just be a squad player for us, and that's everything, and that's great. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic achievement to become a squad player that's good enough to challenge for league titles. But again, he's at that point where I'm going, nah, he's more than that. Yeah. He can be integral to the first team.
He absolutely can be, and I agree with that. I was very much of the similar thinking of like, he could easily have been a Darren Fletcher, as an example, who was a good, solid footballer, Scottish international, in a Man United team that challenged for Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues, and we do get a bit disrespectful at times, and we did it from the outside. You need to have someone to sneer at. Yeah. So he picked the weakest in the link in the chain or whatever when you're looking at your rivals. But yeah, he could well be more than that. And I think there's a little problem with Curtis Jones. I think a lot of people made their mind up on him, and he suffered that thing of, he's now the youngest Liverpool player to local midfielder 200 appearances since Steven Gerrard, which is a weird stat, which is not really a stat, is it? But it's a nice
convoluted stat.
But it's 200 appearances for Liverpool. Yeah, that's amazing. And he played another one. He played too much football too young. The COVID season, he's got no choice but to play in that midfield because we've got problems.
He learnt on the job. We saw his mistakes.
Massive, it's massive.
Exactly. Yeah, that exactly. He never quite bursts onto the scene. No, he does. He scores the goal in the FA Cup, obviously against Everton. He has some good games in the League Cup earlier on. That's the thing. He plays against Milton Keynes on the left wing, and stuff. And he plays in the Arsenal game that goes to penalties and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you're right. We've had to watch him grow, and he's never grown as this is the one, the Steven Gerrard, this is the lad everyone should be paying attention to. He's kind of been a bit squad players.
I think the thing with Curtis is when he bursts onto the side, he's a completely different footballer. Yes. And so I think that Curtis Jones is a product of coaching. This version of Curtis Jones, I don't think it's a natural thing for him to play the way that he does. I think that has been coached into him over the last 3 or 4 years. And if you take that viewpoint, that the managers keep picking him, and that he is going against his natural sort of inclinations, then he's doing what the manager wants and he's performing well.
I think that's exactly it. And I think we've seen a whole new level of sort of maturity in the past week or so from him. And it's actually interesting because anyone see his post-match, it might have been after the Inter Milan game, it might have been after this weekend's game actually, when asked about sort of his role within the side when we played the Diamond, and he kind of said, it works because of me. Now that's kind of him in a nutshell in terms of the swagger and the confidence, but he does seem to suit having more men. I remember we went to the Boxers field with Trent a lot. He really sort of thrived in that system as well. So maybe there is something to that. But yeah, I never really subscribed to the notion that he wasn't of the level required. But it has been, as you said, Chris, it has been sort of fits and starts and sort of false dawns with him. I'm just hoping now that he's out of the woods with that because he is a top quality footballer.
I think, Paul, that again, another one who's I think's really benefited from Wirtz and what Wirtz is meant to be in that. When we saw Jones, the idea in certain formations or certain teams was he was the most creative one. And it was the idea of Grav will be solid, McAllister will be solid, and Curtis, you're the creator, or in previous versions, other players involved. He actually isn't that creative. That isn't really his game. He is a bit more like the facilitator. He's very selfless in that regard. He does the best for the team, and he always like encourages others.
He
So
looks like a lad who's grown up with Jordan Henderson and Gini Wijnaldum.
and he knows what he's doing, but
Under Klopp, I think.
he's
more to
not.
the point.
I don't think he's ever gonna score double-digit goals or get double-digit assists. That's not really him. He probably needs other people in the team to do that. But what I noticed on Saturday, the goal originally, I know it's a few plays back, but it coming from Curtis Jones pressing the goalie into a throw-in,
right?
and then 2 minutes later he's picking the ball up in between our centre halves. And it was a very fluid formation that everybody seemed to go everywhere. I think that suits him, is that he is a very intelligent player. He always finds space. He's always available for the pass. It's just, I think he needs to give it to someone to then go and do the better, the better bits. And
That's why it suits Grav having him a bit further forward.
I think it all now just make that midfield make sense with these lots. McAllister who's probably struggling a little bit, and if everyone was fit and available, then maybe Maka might be the one who's on the bench, and there might be another forward in the team at this moment in time. But with Jones, it feels like whatever the team needs, you'll do. So I've got to go and jog at right back stand. I'll go down there. I've got to go and pick the ball up off my centre halves because our build-up's crap. I'll go there. I'll go and press the goal if I need to. He's
probably looking at Harvey Elliott and going, that could easily be me. Harvey Elliott was at a more successful, under 21s. They both were really good for that under 21s team, but Elliott was seen as more of a sort of star for it. Yeah. And then look, what's your choice? If you look, Harry Wilson, he's a really good player. You could be a good Premier League footballer for a half decent or even better than that Premier League team, or it could not work out for you. And right now you're here, you're at your boyhood team. Take whatever opportunities you can get. The point I was going to wrap up on him really that I was making before is I think a lot of people made their opinion of him. So when I hear and see negativity about Jones, I don't think you've watched Jones play for a few years, and particularly this season, because it goes back to it where there's a little bit of like the manager that you're playing for and what's being asked of you. There's certainly a world where he reminds me so much of like Steve McManaman in the way that he carries the ball and moves, and that's an era's thing. If he come through 15 years, 20 years earlier, he'd have been a winger without a shadow of a doubt.
20 years earlier, been a right winger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. We tried to train him into being the next Wijnaldum, and now under Slot, he seems to be flourishing because I think Slot likes the cut of his jib. He likes a lad who wants to be on the ball and doesn't play stupid passes. But one of the things I was looking at, because I've had half an eye on this on him this season, this idea that he just holds onto the ball too long. Nobody's played more progressive passes per 90 than Curtis Jones in our team this season. It's averaging 9.65 per game. I think even in terms of volume, he's in the top 3 as well. And obviously he's not playing anywhere near the minutes that a lot of our team have. And he's just, again, brave in the right way.
I think some people just, and again, and we're all victims of this, and I'm all guilty of this rather than I'm the same, is that you make your mind up on a player and then you forget, and you can forget that he can get better. Like Curtis Jones hasn't hit his peak age yet. Was he 23, 24? Like he's going to get better.
He should be hitting it now.
Because we've seen him from a teenager. Like players do get better. I was of this ilk with like Jeremy Doku. I thought he was shit. But if you watch him this year, he's just got better because players just get better. They get coached by good coaches. No, I agree, but I don't think he's great. But I think he's gotten better than what I thought he was going to be, which was just absolutely not like Adama Traore, for example. Curtis Jones at times when he was coming through did look a bit like this game's too quick for him, and that this getting caught on the ball thing, and it kind of sticks. Like, or who doesn't? We spoke in the first half earlier on about Ekit is going to get better. Like, that's what we do. It's what good coaches do. You don't just stay at Liverpool by staying the same level. You have to improve, because if you don't, look at Mo Salah. Like, if everyone's places, no one's untouchable, and Jones has gotten better, and he, the two managers have trusted him. I wouldn't be shocked if Thomas Tuchel gets him back in the England squad sooner rather than later at some point as well. He's doing the basics well, but also he has got that little bit of arrogance to him where he'll try the mad thing. He's confident enough to do Cruyff turns in his own box and things like that.
Look, he's not a shrinking violet, and I don't think people walk into that changing room and he's intimidated by them.
No,
and I think he genuinely
far from it.
He's played one of the best we've had for a long time.
100%. But also, I remember when the summer we bought all the midfielders, so like Szoboszlai comes in and McAllister, and I used to watch him out pre and post match. And he was like best mate to Szoboszlai, and I'm thinking, lad, we've bought him to like replace you. Surely there should be more, and it's not. He's like, welcome. He's like, welcome to my club, welcome to my football team. Come in and work hard and do your thing. And some people from outside are like, why is he saying that? I said, no, that's a sense of ownership of that you should have. That's surprisingly in short sort of thrift at times of football clubs. You know, he feels like he belongs. And yeah, he's getting the opportunity. Now, his issue is always a bit like the Gomez conversation, is that we were talking about this before, Chris, is he's got to stay injury free as much as possible, so he doesn't have to take another couple of steps back, because the team at the moment looks like it could evolve to something else at any given sort of twist and turn.
This is where him as who he is as a sort of footballer fits in well with that. There are players that you build your side around. Curtis Jones is not a player you build your side around necessarily, I don't think. I think a Harvey Elliott might be a player that you have to try and build your side around. You need to have facilitators for him, and Alexander Isak could be a player you build your side around. Curtis Jones is a manager's dream in that he'll fit into what you need him to do. And that's the biggest difference, and that's why I think Curtis Jones is at the football club and Harvey Elliott, you know, is at Aston Villa at the moment, because Curtis can do lots of different things, and he's an intelligent footballer. He can play any role, and I think ultimately the way that I've seen the last sort of week or so is that we are moving to more of a Dutch style, anyone can play anywhere midfield. So Curtis Jones is perfect for that, because he can play every single position. He talks really well with Gravenberch and McAllister and Wirtz as well, and you know where they're going to be, who's covering that space. I'm going to go, so you do that, and that's what we're going to see. And he's perfect for that type of a midfield that needs to think on its feet.
I don't understand why he's not adored, because if you look at post, you know, when we were getting, you come out after, and he was like, no, this isn't good enough, this is crap, like, we need to get better. Think back to the derby last year when he's throwing digs because someone's celebrating in front of our fans. Like, he does everything. Like, he does everything that we always, like, we adore in our players, and he just hasn't never, I don't know, people like him and people appreciate him, but I don't think he's like adored. He's a Scouse lad who's played 200 games for Liverpool. He's literally punched an Evertonian because he started having a go in front of us. He's the one who comes out. He's the one who comes out and has goals. He should be like this thing, and I really, really hope it, like, this glass ceiling thing. And now that maybe it's because, and Trent isn't here now, and maybe he was the golden boy.
He's a victim of online culture, and I've had this for years. I've genuinely like unfollowed people because I've seen people who just post apropos of nothing, like not on a match day or even match day plus or minus one, abuse of like Curtis Jones online. You're like, what the fuck are we doing? And the problem with him is because he's had so many injury issues, he never gets to do it over the season. So every time when you just feel like you're getting enough, like you know, like ammunition to be like, yeah, look, this is how good he is. He misses a month or 6 weeks, and then something will happen, and then someone else will come to the forefront, and he's back on the bench. And so, yeah, you know, again,
can I tell you that what I genuinely think that it's because of? I think for some reason there's this stupid online and at the match thing about where people are from. Right, and it's fucking stupid to me. You're a Liverpool fan, that's all it matters. But for some reason, like, I think there's a section of fans from outside of Liverpool who think the people in Liverpool over-egg Curtis Jones and therefore don't like him because we over-egg him because he's a Scouser. It's all nonsense. Like, I know fans from all over the world who like Curtis Jones and who you know, and stuff, but for some reason the most vocal in our societies are always the friggin' loudest, and for some reason this sways people one way or another, and I don't get it. You're either a red or you're not a red. It's as simple as that for me.
I've always said Liverpool should have, in an ideal world, we should go around world football signing Liverpool fans. You know, I remember this comes from signing Torres. Of like, if you grew, I know he's a Atleti fan really, but you know, they had that thing of you like Liverpool, cool. You know, I know the Robbie Keane thing was a bit of a joke, but if you're good enough to play Premier League and Champions League football and you happen to be a Liverpool fan, you should be trying to get these in because it means more to them, and that's something that's worth having. You know, we had him and Elliot. Elliot was just, you know, I remember when we were talking about this a couple of years ago about, in fact, it was Alfie Brown was talking about how he loves Harvey Elliott because he's a Londoner and he's a Liverpool fan, and he saw himself in that. Well, yeah, you know, if you're a Scouser, you want to see Scousers come through. It's just, yeah, I think he's terrific, and hopefully he continues to get better for us. We need to stop saying we've done fucking 20 minutes on Curtis Jones, but it was one line in the agenda. We haven't talked about Mo Salah, and we're going to run out of time if we're not careful. Dan, it was a bold call from the manager to make the Gomez for Salah substitution. Yep. Particularly given everything that's gone on. I don't think we'll ever really know exactly what's gone on and what was said and what his real feelings are on it. But it was a nice we still don't know if that's going to be Salah's last game for Liverpool. We don't. But it was a good show of confidence, I think, from the manager to say, there is a role for you here. I don't think it's necessarily the role that Salah will want. But yeah, he comes in and he's absolutely fine.
Just for clarity, the role is first sub.
Yeah.
Okay.
When a right back goes down injured, which is common to get a game every week.
You're going to get more minutes than you've ever had.
Don't worry about that. No, listen, it wasn't vintage Mo, was it? I don't think it was good Mo. I felt like it was Mo trying really hard
to be a teammate.
To show that he was still sound with the rest of his mates on the pitch and willing to assist them at any given opportunity, albeit occasionally getting that wildly wrong. Listen, whatever the clear the air talks were on Friday meant that he was part of the bench and then introduced earlier than anticipated. Maybe a bit of an olive branch from Arne Slot. It suggests that he's at least willing to bring him back in post AFCON and maybe kick that can down the road until the summer, which is kind of where I'd fall on it. But yeah, it was nice to see, whatever it was from Salah. If that was his final appearance at Anfield, I certainly hope not. Then it was, at least we got that, I think, because it had all the sort of signs of being a really ugly ending and maybe not involved in that team, and then off he went. So yeah, I'm glad at least we got that. Obviously gets the assist for Ekit's goal, but yeah, it just smacked of a Salah who was desperate to show he was still part of the team as a collective, but he was desperate to score as well, wasn't he? Like he had real sort of
Sometimes like the world just does you a favour, and listen, I'm not saying that because Joe got injured, it's sad, but like if we're winning that game 1-0 and it's 70, Mo Salah's not coming on. Like, it just is. You know what I mean? So
it might be Calvin Ramsey.
It might have been whatever. He probably wouldn't have done that. We saw it against Leeds. He brought Isak on because he can defend corners. I mean, didn't go so well. But actually, later on, Isak did come on and defend his corner at the near post. Sometimes the world just works in funny ways. And it allowed Arne Slot the opportunity to do it early enough. If you were chasing the game, obviously, Salah probably would have come on. But what he did, he came on and he smiled, and the crowd gave him the reception. But also, it's not like... There's like narrative out there, and again, it's probably online, of like you have to be in one camp or the other. You're either team Slot or your team Liverpool or whatever, or your team Salah. Actually, it's a bit of both. It's team get together and sort it out, lads. And you need to figure out that Mo, that you're probably not going to play every game. If you can't deal with that, so mate, it is what it is. On the manager side, maybe, or Liverpool side, maybe you just need to be better at your communication and something's gone wrong. So it worked out in a nice way, because again, I was on the watch along and it was like, as soon as Gomez goes down, me and Jamie are like, well, he's got Ramsey, or he could bring Trey on maybe and move Sabo. It's Mo. Okay, that, and then they do the rejig. It actually changes our formation definitely as well, from this fluid midfield to more of the 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, whatever. And yeah, Salah looked fresh. And again, I said this on the show earlier, so apologies. But like, if I'm Arne Slot, I'm showing Mo how fresh Mo looked, saying, if you don't play every single minute, this is what you can do. Because he did look a lot sharper. He looked like, well, there was times when he sprinted and he was flying, and that hasn't been the case always for a while. Yeah. And he won't acknowledge in his head, Paul, because he's 30, he's 30 odd now, but like, in Mo Salah's head, Mo Salah is a superstar. He can play every single minute, every single game, and he can score in every single game, and he's the best player in every single game. I'm not sure that is the case now, and that's just normal.
No, and
I'm the same, by the way. It's just when I look in the mirror and realise I'm not.
And it's hard sometimes to be faced with your own mortality, Chris. You know what I mean?
I know, Paul.
And with Mo, because he's had a week off, he did look really sharp. He was sprinting past people. The first moment when he's on McAllister.
Look, fine. The thing for me about it was, I thought he was playing this well before he got dropped. That's what I was seeing from Salah in the game.
No, I disagree.
I know, like he was.
That PSV game, mate, was bad. Like I think that when he shit out off that tackle on the halfway line,
but a few of them, a lot.
That was almost the manager going, I've had enough of this. In this game, he did look a bit more oomph to him. He's always been good in and around their box. I agree, he was doing okay against like Forest and stuff, but the all round package of Mo Salah was nowhere. I don't think he was anywhere near it, and I thought there were signs on Saturday that it was a bit more of that.
Maybe, but the point I'm making is, I don't think that was better than any of the better performances he's put in this season. I thought it was good, but it was another indicator to me of maybe this is just where he's at. Like that. If his legs have gone, and we still don't know whether that's the case or not, this might be as good as Salah can be now, which is to say, he's good enough to play for Liverpool. Yeah. But he's probably not good enough to have the entire team geared towards him and making him a better player, because I'm not sure what return you're not getting a 39 or 30 goal return out of that anymore, perhaps. But it for me, it's all Salah's mentality. It's like, what do you want? Because I think Slot's shown him, as I say, there's a place for you in the squad. Is that good enough for you? You know, and that's Liverpool making a bigger session. He's on 400 grand a week. Like, he should be the best player in the team for that. But Liverpool, I mean, because there's been a lot of talk about respect and disrespect and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people throwing his stats around. Like, you put one up in the agenda before, Chris, of like there's a thing doing the rounds online of like probably like 30 records that he's broken since he's come in, and big ones in that as well. Cool, that's great, and that's the kind of thing you build a statue for. But you know, you're guaranteed a place.
What have you done for me lately? Like,
I think it's somewhere, for me anyway, it's somewhere in the middle. Like, I don't think he played anywhere near as good as he has done in the past. I think I think it's a confidence thing at the moment with Salah, to be honest with you. I think he's never had a confidence problem at Liverpool, and he's hearing the noise about how old he is and can he do it, and is he afforded this, and should he be in the side, and I think it's finally gotten through to him. And I think he's questioning himself at times, and he's trying too hard to go against that. And I think if he gets a couple of goals, you might just see him click in for a little while longer and just go off again. But then I also think he's not fallen off a cliff.
No.
But he's past the peak, and there's only one way down, you know, unfortunately for him. And Liverpool have got a very, very tough decision to make. And I think the right decision for the football club, being honest, is to move Salah on as quickly as you possibly can, because he's never going to be the talisman for Liverpool and that's going to lead the line anymore. Now, whether that is, I mean, probably means summer more than January, so maybe not as soon as you possibly can, by the way. But they have to make a decision, and they have to move forward. And it's not a good thing, because he's been an absolute legend, one of the greatest players, but the club goes on. And the club needs to get better, and the club's not in a position where we can carry a 400 grand a week player on the bench. If he was on 200, keep him for 2 years. I don't care. You know what I mean?
I think he's not. He can take a good corner. That's what we've learned.
But that was the thing that typified it for me, is that he broke Rooney's record of most combined goals and assists for a single Premier League club, but he did it it was a corner assist. It's a great corner, and it counts as an assist, but it wasn't Mo Salah doing typical Mo Salah things. You know, it wasn't him scoring with a plump, you know, or you know, doing that outside of the boot one to the back stick, and someone arrives in and cuts it in. It was a bit like he's been all season long, whereas his numbers have been bolstered by, okay, we haven't had loads of pens, but like, you know, and a couple of assists where you're like, all right, cool, it's an assist, take it and add it to your pile. But it's not necessarily because he's got the game at his feet. In fact, if he'd had the game under his control, he probably would have come out with a goal and probably a couple of actual more assists on top.
He misses an absolute sick case, puts on a play for him, and that's horrendous.
Well, that and there's and
then the counter attack where like that's Army running forward and he just passes it to the goalie, and I was like, that's kind of the thing we've been speaking about all year, is that if Salah isn't offering you those, then he doesn't offer enough for the whole team in general. Then what are you picking him for? And that's been Slot's argument the whole time. Like, we can't stop letting goals in, and you're not doing enough at the other end of the pitch for me to say, don't worry about the defender.
This narrative, that's bullshit. No, it is, because I get what you're saying, but the way that people phrase this narrative is stupid.
Like he doesn't want to.
Like he's not been told for the last 3 years he doesn't need to do the work. It's framed, and you said it there wrong, I think, but I don't think you meant it wrong. And I've certainly heard it from like loads of pundits online. It's like, oh, he doesn't get back. No, because he's told he doesn't have to fucking get back. Yeah. That's why. It's a completely different narrative, that. Yeah. And all right, the manager might say to him, this season you have to get back. Sounds. But he's getting back this season. But he's just not having the impact on the other end of
that's my point, is that he's not, that's kind of the way it matters, that he's not that good at getting the back. He'll do it, he'll get in the right place, but he doesn't really win a tackle. It was kind of, we saw that against PSV, just the kind of stuff. So and listen, you'll absolutely take that all day long when he's banging 30 at the other end. And I think this has been Slot's argument the whole time. If Liverpool are a well-oiled machine at the back and we're not conceding goals and chances, you'll just get by and go, you know what, Mo can do the same thing. I agree, by the way. I'm not saying Mo Salah doesn't want to help the team out. Of course he doesn't. And there was times at the weekend he'll get in the way, but he's not brilliant. Liverpool are much more solid. We've seen that without him. It's just and the weekend kind of shows this, we're also not brilliant going forward. We are this little work in progress kind of thing that we are. So the good thing, the nice thing was that the manager and him clearly, whether it was just a truce or whatever, he is first sub on. Like the manager could have done something else there. If he could have put Isak on, he could have put Ramsey on, he could have done whatever, and he chose to go to Salah. And Salah, I wouldn't say fully repaid him, we didn't let him down. Like Salah done his job, and Liverpool got the job done.
Salah is more than good enough to play for Liverpool. Let's make that clear. He's more than good enough. It's stupid to have to say those words out loud. But we did, like, if Gerrard hadn't gone to the MLS, if we got another year contract, he'd have been good enough to play for Liverpool too. Now, he wouldn't have been good enough to play, like, you're the first name on the team sheet, we build a team around you anymore, but you'd have got to choose out of it. We do this all the time where you write footballers off. We got rid of Sammy Hippier a season too soon, and actually he'd have played a lot of football that season instead. We might have had a better season as a result of it.
Listen, everyone thought Carragher was done the last season. He was unbelievable, and you wish he'd taken another one.
Exactly, so it's just how good is he, and you can't tell from what we've
also,
seen.
Paul, where's his head? Because I can tell you now, Steven Gerrard wasn't going to sit on the bench for a year. And Jordan Henderson, the second year got told, you sit on the bench for a year.
But I guarantee a year after doing a year in America, if you'd said to Gerrard, would you rather have been on the bench at Liverpool? I bet he'd have bit your hand off.
That's all hindsight, though, isn't it? And Henderson the same with Saudi Arabia to the point.
Exactly.
We just there quickly on the suggestion that Salah was sort of kicked out the side because he wasn't putting a shift in. Like, this is where we come back to him having a bit of a point with his rant, albeit wrong, and too much pressure on the manager, and the timing was ill and all that sort of stuff. But like, he wasn't the only one. You said earlier on, it looked like a lot of the lads are down tools. PSV, you keep referencing Salah in that PSV game, but I could count 5 or 6 lads.
Yeah, but you can't leave 5 or 6 out, can you?
No, of course you like, this is why Salah feels so annoyed that it was him that he was, because he would point to him and him. Well, he shit out of that, he shit out of that, he didn't track back for that. Like, this is why he felt like, why me? A little bit scapegoat is the point.
And also, but the other lads who were doing it, there was no one else to replace them. There was something he could do with Salah. Like, for example, when it was Konate, there was no one. It should have been Konate, but there was no one else. And now actually Ibu's turned the corner a little bit. And then you look in it was Isak. Well, he did get better on the bench, and then Ekit comes in. The ones he could change. This is what we're going with Salah.
Other than Cody Gakpo, who I also would
and Gakpo, maybe, and then he can't sort himself out with the injury.
But Gakpo was different in that he was playing a different role in the midfield, out of possession. You couldn't have Salah.
I think he was doing what the manager wanted, Gakpo, to an extent.
But just to go back to this though, because we're saying a lot of the stuff that we said last week, and we've been saying for days and days on end. I think there's a pathway to Mo Salah playing more football for Liverpool this season, but it's not. It's not Mo Salah last season. He's gonna have to accept a changed role, and can you frame that as, well, we're doing something different, but we want you to. It should be framed as you're guiding the next generation here, mate, as opposed to you're going to drag the next generation along by in your coattails or whatever. But it's whether he wants to. It's whether
and there's a world as well, mate, where I know it's not the same personnel, because there won't be too many games when we have Andy Robbo left wing and Federico Chiesa right wing. But if Liverpool are going to persist with the 2 up front thing, and we've all kind of touched upon it today, that Isak isn't the man to play that all the time. Salah can definitely do that. Yeah. Stick Mo Salah up front in the front 2, he'll be absolutely sound. Yeah. And then he doesn't have to do as much of the running, and he'll still be deadly in front of goal. So that if the manager wants to stick with, and I think he should stick with this packed midfield thing, that's there for them. And if Salah can accept that, right, I'm in rotation with Ekit and Isak, then he's absolutely banging.
That is part 2's conversation, so let's stop that there.
I think the thing for me on the broken promises stuff, though, I wonder whether if it's a footballing thing, I wonder whether it was the track and back stuff. And like, we're still going to do everything the same, even with Isak and Ekit, you're the guy, yada, yada, yada. And we've had so many problems that the managers have just gone, I can't keep that promise.
Well, we said before. You said it last week. Look who's replaced him. Szoboszlai. Effectively, who's been the nominal right-sided player, the guy who works harder than anyone else in the football team.
Slide that.
Go on, do you think you can match him physically? No. Oh well, tough shit, mate. And I know I'm being horrible for the sake of it, but it's not. That's the brutality of football. I'd have Mo Salah there, of course I would, because I think he's a genius. But a manager's got to cut his cloth accordingly. He's got to keep himself in a job, and he's got to get Liverpool winning again. And we said it before. if it's not working, you've got to go back to basics. And basics is get a bunch of lads who'll run through brick walls for you and then build from there.
You come hard to beat.
That's what we've done for the last 5 games. Yeah. Even though the Leeds one is a bit of an outlier in that, but regardless. Right. Up to 6th for now. Man United play
Bournemouth
tonight.
Bournemouth. Yeah, Bournemouth.
Come on, you cherries. Wait.
I find they're terrible once you've done that. Yeah.
Break from us.
Timely, I think.
Festive fixtures and what Liverpool might do without Salah during AFCON.
Hey everyone, I'm very proud to announce that after 17 years, my very first novel is here. The Eternal Flame, Yes the Boy, is available to pre-order right now on www.machpublishing.com. It is completely and utterly unlike anything that I've done on my 15 and a half years here on Redmen TV. It is a superhero story. It is a book about a boy who mysteriously trades lives with a forgotten World War II superhero, the Eternal Flame. It is also about a young girl, Anna Harrison, who finds herself in the present day pulled into an 80-year-old conspiracy theory to steal the power of the flame for nefarious purposes. It is a World War II action blockbuster. It is a bit of a teen comedy as well. It is very much inspired by the likes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Smallville and the MCU and Back to the Future and all of those greats that so many of us grew up on and absolutely adore, and yet distilled into this, my first ever work of fiction. It is completely outside of my wheelhouse, so I appreciate if it's not your bag, but if you were into all those things that I mentioned, I really think you will enjoy this. So yeah, please do give it a punt. It is on pre-order right now on Mage Publishing. There is a discount there as well. I just want people to read it and hopefully really, really enjoy it as much as I have over the last 17 years making it. Yeah, it is out now. The Eternal Flame, Yes the Boy, magepublishing.com. Nice one.
Hey, thank you so much for sticking with us so far. Yeah, if anyone's watching or listening to this on Monday, last day to order the book for guaranteed UK delivery. Cool. Yeah, we've got, as Steve was mentioned before, a reasonably favourable sort of run of fixtures. What do you want to do? Should we carry on a bit of the Salah chaff for a minute and then we'll come to that? Because I think we touched upon the formation thing. Steve, do you think we've almost solved the Salah AFCON problem because of how the last week or so's gone? Whereas in previous years or previous iterations, it's like, okay, Salah plays, fuck.
It's la 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 la.
Chamberlain right wing, Jota right wing. You know, it always felt like we were kind of stumbling through it, whereas at least we've had a chance to have a bit of
they've had a bit of practice at it. To be fair, like Liverpool have always solved it. Now, in weird ways, like Liverpool's record without Salah and AFCON just tends to be all right. And then they've gone shit when he come back. But whether it was Chamberlain, Diaz, Jota, whatever it was, Liverpool have tended to get results around these periods. Now, it's a bit different here because this AFCON's come earlier than usual. It's usually post-Christmas where that goes, and this time obviously there's a few games before. But listen, it's not rocket science to say how are Liverpool going to play with Mo Salah without Mo Salah, because they've just done it. Like we've seen what they did, and they're going to do the same again. The pressing one is where's Sobo at with that ankle or that leg, and hopefully that's not too bad. Like the fact he played on before eventually going off gives you hope that it's not too bad. But what I like about this new formation or new setup, it allows each of the midfielders to do what they're good at, and then it just sticks Alexis McAllister out the way. Which I don't know, that's at this moment in time, because he's struggling. He's on the pitch and you're getting the minutes into his leg, but actually you can't just say, go and get out the way. We're not asking you to run around loads and stuff, and on another day he has a
problem. That's how in it.
There's more. No, of course it is, but this is the point. We are not fully fired, and we are fudging our way through a really difficult period.
Someone has to pay the price, no matter what formation we're kind of settling on at this point. And it does make you wonder that if Gakpo was available, would Vert be playing maybe in where McAllister's been playing, and Gakpo would be wherever. But I mean, on McAllister thing, kind of gets like a sly or pseudo assist for the second goal because he just edges the defender out the way, doesn't he?
He does.
So like TK's got
and he gets a pseudo assist against Leeds, doesn't he? Little step over.
Little couple of telling moments. He can be dangerous around the box, so that is what he's good at, to be honest. I was half joking. We're basically not asking him to run around as much because it looked like he was struggling to do that, but the idea when you sign Florian Wirtz is that it becomes Florian Wirtz's team at some point, and I think we are getting closer to that. I think we saw again at the weekend we're trying to do that. There's a clear, obvious plan of we're going to play through the lines, we're going to get it to Jones, and he's going to look for Wirtz, and then we're going to try and play from
physically. Wirtz looked better as well. Like he bundled someone off the ball the other day.
There was this report where he's bulked up a little bit, and you can tell like you sometimes just need to become a bit more robust. So that's the game plan over the next couple of weeks, is keep evolving towards this. Eventually there'll be a point where the Wirtz is just running the game. It might not be in the same way of like you think of number 10s or attacking midfielders doing it like it's almost like a bit Bernardo Silva-y, I think, in that regard. But that's got to be the key. Where it'll fall down, and touch wood it doesn't, is the squad depth. Yeah. We are stretched. Like there's a lot of lads either injured or coming back from injury or running on absolute fumes. And you know, when I saw Sobo go down, and I thought, oh my god, like his Achilles has gone. Like, you know, when you see that non-contact thing and he's laying on the floor, it's like, oh, that's bad. So there are a couple of key pieces here that you'd really struggle to replace, and it's why Slot said he's half glad to be at the League Cup. I know everyone hated that comment, but he's kind of right. Like
it's this week.
Yeah, the last thing Liverpool would need that game this week would have been exactly the same team because he hasn't got no one else.
I've had some belting times watching quarterfinals of the League Cups at this time of year.
We're not good enough for the winner. We're not good enough for the winner.
But my God, I honestly, and I've said it for years, I've never been upset to see us go out to that because of the pile up it causes this time of the year. The idea that we would have a massive game of football now and now we're not. We've got a week to let everyone kind of like. Well, Slot said it post-match, didn't he? He said, "What are you going to do? You got a week to prepare for the next game." And he was like, "I'd like to say train, but I'm not sure. Looking in the dressing room, I could get a game of five-a-side out of what I've got there at this point." So. Yeah, it's
that has flipped, hasn't it? Sorry, the ability to keep lads fit and on the pitch, which we heralded the entire backroom staff for last season. I know we've talked about Joe Gomez, and that's just perpetual with him, like it's just the way it is. And Bradley a little bit is in that bracket. Don't get me wrong, yeah, but there does seem to be it is a problem. Once again, we didn't have this conversation at all last season.
You know why that is, man? Because we've got all of our Premier League, like Luis Diaz would be injured for a while, and then he becomes super robust, and then it happens. All our robust Premier League lads have gone, and we've replaced them with Bundesliga players who just and that's
and we've signed Alexander Isak, who's also perpetually problematic
and
as well.
Never had a pre-season to get fit.
Yeah.
So
and McAllister's problem started last season as well.
So it's all kind
but then
of
obviously Szoboszlai is a bit more further down the line in his own Premier League time, and he's picked up. So, and that is a painful one. I've done that. The nasty things that happen. All your weight on one ankle hurts.
All I'm saying that is that isn't like a muscle thing. He would play more minutes than anyone. He's just had a dodgy landing. Like if you get wellied or you have a landing, then they're the things.
But to the point, again, it kind of comes back to what we said right at the top of the show about luck and bad luck, and like we didn't have anything. Like not even knock, we weren't picking up anything.
Injuries lead to more injuries. Arsenal go through it now. You get injured in a couple of places, and the lads who come in haven't played that much, and then they get injured, and then you've got a crisis.
Don't forget, they were. I think they were conditioned different under Klopp. They were conditioned to be fucking run ragged, and then the injuries happened last season. There was a bit of like, well, ease off, and it must have felt easy.
Yeah.
So
true.
and obviously we know pre-season was disrupted for a variety of reasons. Obviously Jota being prime amongst it, but then obviously how we got signings in has had an impact on stuff, and then that's led to more players playing more minutes, etc. So it's been a bit of a mess, but it'll be interesting to see how they come out of this period into the back half of the season. Do we have legs? Will we have legs in April? Because we haven't had legs in April for a very, very long time. Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to see on that one. The formation thing that's going to be interesting for me, Chris, gone to the Salah thing, is I don't know yet whether we're done with wingers or whether this is just him making do with the players that he's got available to him. Like the lack of Gakpo kind of means he had no choice but to move more towards two up top.
He could have played Chiesa.
Yeah. Don't be so ridiculous.
Yeah. Why the hell would he play Chiesa? I think the proof will be in January when we sign a winger. whether we're going to play with wingers or not. And to be honest with you, I think we'll sign a winger and we'll go back to wingers. I think, for me anyway, there's been a period of adaptation with the fullbacks. There's been a period of adaptation with the midfield because of Wirtz. I think once Wirtz is up to speed, I think we'll go back to having 3 in the middle of the park again. And then we'll start to rotate in and around that. That's what I think anyway. I'd be very shocked if Liverpool edge towards a wingerless squad. I think that would be insane, actually.
Yeah, particularly without robust fullbacks.
Well, it's not what Arne Slot has ever done before. He's been quite winger heavy previously, and the wide men have played prominent roles in the way he's gone about sort of setting his teams up in attacking sense. So to your point as well, I just think his hand's been forced a little bit. The Salah situation, the Gakpo injury, just kind of gone, well, this is me lot now.
And I've
so
got 2 strikers, and I think that's it. I actually think, sorry to interrupt, Dan, I think what the ball that Yakuba Minter played to free up their
for the
striker
one-on-one,
for the one-on-one is exactly what we're looking for from our wingers. And, you know, we might well be looking at him.
Did he have him before?
He did, he had him at Feyenoord, That pass is what I think Arne Slot wants from his wingers. And that pass is something we don't have in Gakpo and Salah for the most part.
The flip side, Kerkez and Frimpong being signed suggests maybe he was thinking of doing this, because they are flying, give you width full-backs, and I wonder if eventually this was the plan. You play 2 up front and your full-backs provide you width, and you go robust in the middle. I don't know.
Can I say why I don't think that was the case? I don't think he was thinking Liverpool will get run over. I think he was thinking we're going to get low blocks every single week and we're just going to edge up further and further forwards.
Which allowed to be the same players, but in
and something Josh said to me weeks ago, which stuck with me when I suggested, you know, maybe it's something like that. And I think he said, well, yeah, but the wingers are better at it. You know, if you get a good winger, they're better than Frimpong at it, and you get a good winger, and he's better than Kerkez at it.
I mean, the other thing as well is that it feels a bit like this last week has kind of shown us that it is a bit like this is the benefits of having a very tactically astute manager. Is that, and what we were saying with my issue with it was, I think we look like we were being too focused on formation and not focused enough on ethos. Whereas actually I've seen the ethos in the last week, and the tactics then don't really matter. You can play whatever you want. And Inter Milan,
I think we have.
Yeah. Well, I think that was so stark about Inter Milan was we had no wingers whatsoever to speak of. And therefore you need the fullbacks, but we actually told the fullbacks not to do it. And then when we made the substitutions, okay, it was only Bradley and then Wirtz, but also it was like, well, this all makes perfect sense. This is what the proper version of this looks like. This is what it looks like when you trust your team to attack and also still do the defensive duties. Yeah. So it could just be, we could just see more horses for courses stuff, to be honest. But yeah, it was more that conversation of the Salah, because I've seen a lot of people say, well, that's it, we're playing 2 up top now, and I'm not convinced that that's the case. I do feel it's a bit like if Gakpo had been fit, Gakpo would have just played, because he's played consistently.
It might be opposition. It might be opposition led, and that's when you're not
2-3 at the backs.
Yeah. When you're not when you're on teams who aren't, you know, Inter Milan and Brighton aren't going to do the stuff with that hit, or, you know, the long ball, kick it long direct. They're just not doing that. I don't think Tottenham a little bit will, but not as much. But then when we play Wolves and we play Leeds, you're probably going to get it. So it might just be at this moment in time, the manager is, like I said earlier on the show, he's just changing for the opposition, which you can do. You know, when you're the best, like, for example, now you're Arsenal or you're Man City, you're just doing what you do. And it's like, yeah, we're going to...
Let them worry about us.
Worry about us. Because we're struggling a little bit. We're almost going, right, okay, what can we do to hurt you? And what do we have to do to stop you hurting us? For example, I think Kerkez plays because he's worried about Minter's pace. Where, against Tottenham, it might be the same, but then it might change around against Wolves, where you're not worried about it with Robbo. I think the manager... And he deserves credit for this. He deserves criticism as well, because what his plan or whatever it was failed ultimately, and the pool of shit. But he hasn't tried to go again. He's gone, you know what, I need to change something, and he's done bits for it. So it might be a little bit of that. It is just like you said before, horses for courses. You know, what works against Brighton at home might not be what you do against Spurs away, which might not be what you do against Leeds at home.
And the reality is, you know, we talk about it when we had no centre halves, and then we played midfielders under Klopp, and then he realised just play worse centre halves and play better midfielders.
I think we'll ever stop talking about that.
No, I hope not. But I actually think in some regards, I think Slot's kind of done it the other way. I think he's gone, well, I could play Rio and Gamoa or Chiesa.
Or Calvin Ramsey. But actually what I'm going to do is I've got boss midfielders here. So I'll just play more of my boss midfielders and have them do more of a thing instead. And it's so
so far, so good. I really enjoyed that fluidity of that midfield.
It was really good. Shout out Milos Kerkez, by the way. I think he was absolutely brilliant at the weekend.
Which was a tricky assignment as well, because he did get done like once or twice by Minter, but that's kind of going to happen. I thought he was really good for the most part. And I've been chief amongst his critics, I think, since he had the football club. And I was a big advocate of Robertson carrying on, but he was excellent.
Mate, I had flashbacks when Matoma come on. I was like, thank God. Like, and he had that shot, and it goes for a throw-in.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, this is not him again.
That was
like,
PhD in dribbling. Yeah, great.
Not finishing, though, thankfully.
Was it Kerkez's best game?
Yeah. I think Arsenal was his best game against Madueke, but I think it was as good.
Good for a little while now. I don't know. I've not really thought of him as an issue for a while. So he didn't stand out to me as like, because I think he's been good. So yeah, I couldn't tell you. Right, let's look ahead to the fixtures then. Just for those unaware, obviously the African Cup of Nations, as Steve mentioned before, is a little bit earlier on in the campaign. It runs until the 18th of January. So Salah has now gone. This doesn't feel quite the issue that it has done in previous years. We're not panicking in the same way. I'm quite excited to see what we do, but in that run then, Tottenham is the weekend. We've got Wolves on the 27th. We've got Leeds United at home on New Year's Day. Fulham on the 4th. Arsenal on the 8th. The FA Cup third round home to Barnsley. And then Burnley at home on the 18th. Now, obviously, the final of AFCON is on the 18th of January. So that would, if they get to the final, that will be the case. As we've known previously, as happened last time, they got knocked out and he got injured. Or he got injured then they got knocked out. So he was able to come home a bit earlier. Potentially that Marseille away game on the 21st, though, if he plays the final, might be a stretch for him.
Mm-hmm. Are they good enough to get to the final? Anyone know?
I've got no idea, but I do know that they've done that. They've gotten to finals previously with I think it was like there was that lad Trezeguet who was like their second best player, whereas they've got Marmoush now who's come up. So I think they've got a bit more, but I'm not going to sit here and say I'm any kind of expert on international football, let alone one outside of the federation that I even half pay attention to. So yeah, honest answer is no idea on that one.
Kind of hoping to be back for that Burnley game anyway. To be honest, like, it's one of them.
I think Steve mentioned that in terms of the run of games, Tottenham at the weekend is a big fixture, but I'm not against the idea of playing Tottenham in the form that they're in at the moment. Steve.
No, yeah, especially at all. And the manager come out saying this isn't going to be a quick fix. You've got to stand by him and all. I like Thomas Frank. I think he's a very good manager, but it hasn't exactly flowed this so far. He's
fighting a fan base as well at the moment, isn't he?
It started well and it's kind of tailed off a little bit and it's gone a little bit skewy at times. So yeah, this is a good time in theory to go and get them. No good team ever gets beat 3-0 by Nottingham Forest.
That's a hammering now. Like I know they've been a bit up and down, like inconsistent probably, but that is just outright shite.
When it happened to us, then we got hammered again, didn't we? So maybe we go and give them a bit of a doom, but. Yeah, it just feels like at this moment in time, they don't know what they want to be. They've got a little bit of an identity crisis at Tottenham, and that the manager certainly got his standards. And when you hire that manager, you're obviously bringing that into the footy club. You're not bringing Thomas Frank in to be, Ange Postecoglou. But then it feels like their team, and they were fed up of Ange, but they kind of like being attacking still. So they're a little bit of a mess.
I saw a quote the other day saying the best period of football we had was at this period under Ange Postecoglou, and it's like,
what?
Cool.
It was 90 minutes in May.
No, it wasn't that.
Was
it was like, well, it was. I think it's probably like 2 seasons ago now, wasn't it? But there was a spell when they were playing great attacking football and everything was going well for them, and they're now nostalgising that.
Ange.
Yeah.
Was that with that 10 games when they were in the top of the league and they won like a couple of managers in a month back to back, I think.
So yeah, I think like to throw back to your question, mate, it's a tough game. Spurs away tends to be that for us, and it has been relatively. They're not a bad team, of course, but for a Thomas Frank side, they look like you can score pretty easily against them. And that's something that you didn't really associate with his teams. And yeah, they're a bit of a shambles. And Liverpool having, again, I don't want to say turn the corner because we're not quite there yet, but we've at least, we put the brakes on. We were to top of that cliff area. At least we've kind of stopped before we got there.
We're indicating. We can see the corner.
Yeah. We're at least slowed down before we drive off said cliff. We might just be about to go into reverse. But yeah, the fixture list now, the toughest 2 games were Brighton. We're Inter Milan, Brighton, Tottenham. Sorry, the first 2 before the 3. If they can just go there and win, which they absolutely can, you're not that far away from getting on a little bit of a run and things feeling better. But it's a big game for them as well. Like, it's mad, but there's some people calling for the Thomas Franks head already. Obviously, Arne Slot's getting the same thing. So
yeah,
two delicate teams. Let's put it that way.
I'm looking at them 4 fixtures. I want 4 wins from our next 4 fixtures. That's what I want. I want to be 9 unbeaten.
They're favourable, aren't they? I think it's fair to say.
Yeah. Obviously, I say there's the Tottenham away, yes, but Wolves and Leeds back to back at home across Christmas into New Year. Fulham away is always a weird one for us.
They're just a nuts team.
Yeah. We have some.
Harry Wilson's currently one of the best players in the world, so he might be a problem.
But to your point, they're the 4 games leading up to Arsenal, and I actually think that's. I hate to over-egg this thing, but if you want to use the expression of season defining, I think you can do in this one, because there's a conversation about what are Liverpool. Are we?
It's either this or the Barnsley game that's going to be season defining.
No, honestly. But if you fuck it such that and then that Arsenal one, are you either what role are you playing in that Arsenal game? Are you trying to spoil their season, or are you trying to do something mega with your own? Because yeah, ideally, but in a reality,
it's the same thing.
But in a reality, if we drop significantly any more points, or you lose a couple in the next 4, then that Arsenal ends up being a total.
It's also
embarrassment. Nothing game of football.
I know we're going to speak a little bit on bias later, but like the Premier League is that Champions League space now with Aston Villa doing so well. I mean, again, things can change quickly, but you're not miles away from it being fighting for one spot. Yeah. The 5th place thing, coefficients, now you have to see how it goes, and again, that might depend on us doing well in Europe and a few other teams, Newcastle and Tottenham and maybe City, I don't know, but with Villa doing so well, you're almost looking at that Chelsea space that they're in now, thinking at the moment it looks like it could be us, Chelsea, United, and then Palace maybe if they can hang around in Sunderland. Like, if Liverpool drop any more points, because Villa don't look like they're going to do that, all of a sudden it is a bit of a tough act, because that's the aim now. The aim is Champions League again next year, and these are games where if you are a top 4 fighting side, you don't win all these games. If you are a comfortable top 4 side, you win all of them. Yeah. And that's the difference, and that's what we're going to figure that out over the next month. Is what are we? Are we a team who are looking up a third and thinking, can we catch Villa? Or are we the team who are hanging on the coattails of 4th, 5th, 6th?
Yeah, well, you know what we need to do is stop conceding goals. Our defensive record is a fucking disgrace this season. No one's conceded more goals in the top half of the table than us. To that point, we've conceded 24 in 16. That's Arsenal have only conceded 10. We've almost conceded a goal a game more than Arsenal, and that's where the levels have been, unfortunately. Above us, Palace only conceded 15, Chelsea only conceded 15, Villa 17. City 16, Arsenal 10. We don't deserve to be a top 4 team based on what we've seen so far, but if we've turned the corner, then that's part of it. So I get it. I agree. Look, let's win all 4, absolutely. But what I want to see is if there has to be a 0-0 draw in there at some point, then I would take that as part of the building process back towards, because it's
better than a loss.
100%. That's it. It goes back to it. Stay unbeaten first. Now, I'm not saying 4 draws, but that would be feel pretty heartbreaking in its own way. But yeah, if we come out with 3 wins and a draw, or a couple of good wins and a couple of good draws within there, then you can't know until you live it, of course. But it is encouraging to see that you're right. The top 3 are in danger of stretching a little bit too far away, but we looked completely dead and buried out of the top 4 conversation like a week ago. So. Fingers crossed. Okay, sound. Obviously there'll be more ahead of the Tottenham game. The Uncensored Match Build-Up show will be later on in the week if you want to check that one out. We are going to be heading over to Redmen Plus to do the Bias Football Show. We're going to talk more about Aston Villa and their chances, a few little wobbles around Arsenal as well. And because I didn't get a chance to cover it in this one, I want to talk a little bit about Jordan Henderson obviously scoring and doing Diogo Jota's celebration as well, which was lovely. So do come and join us over on redmenplus.com for the Bias Football Podcast. We hope to see it over there. If not, we'll be back here with another one next week.